Return $30,000 or don't come back! Mom pointed at me and shouted. My sister Emily added, You stole Dad's money, we all know. I slowly placed the bank statements on the kitchen counter. Their faces turned pale. My name is Margaret. That evening, I didn't even have time to take off my coat when Mom, without looking up from the pot, threw out, Return the money, Margaret, or don't bother coming anymore. I was still holding the pie, the very one made with Mom's recipe of pumpkin, cinnamon, and maple syrup. I baked it overnight, drove 3 hours through fog to bring it to the family dinner on Thanksgiving, as I did every year. But this time, no one was waiting for me with a smile. At the table were Emily and Michael, brother and sister. Emily stared at the table as if at a funeral, while Michael pretended to be busy with his phone. Even Dad, kind and gentle James, didn't look my way. The house didn't smell of Mom's signature turkey like before. It smelled of cold. There was no usual comfort in the house. I stood at the door, still smiling, holding the pie, as everything inside began to fall apart. Mom, are you serious? I tried laughing, as if it were a joke. Is this some game? Sarah raised her eyebrows. Don't make it worse. We all know. The money from Dad's pension account disappeared right after you helped him with online banking. Are you joking? My voice faltered. I helped Dad set up the app because he asked me. I even wrote out all the instructions so he wouldn't forget. Exactly. Emily inserted quietly, finally raising her eyes. The instructions were in the kitchen drawer. After that, the money was withdrawn 3 times online from your IP address. I froze, wanted to say something, but the lump in my throat stopped me. I looked at Dad. James was sitting, tightly pressing a napkin to his lips, as if feeling sick. No. This is some nonsense. Silence was worse than accusations. I placed the pie at the edge of the table very carefully, as if afraid it would break like everything inside me. I took my coat from the chair slowly. You have a week, Mom added quietly, or we'll involve a lawyer. I didn't respond. I left without slamming the door, without crying, without screaming. Just walked down the street, the one where Michael and I used to ride bikes, where Dad waved to me from his home office window. Now it wasn't a home, but a place where there was no belief in me. I stopped at a cheap motel on the outskirts, one I passed every time driving back to my native Boston, but never thought I'd one day enter with a suitcase. Not memories. The girl at the reception didn't even ask why I was booking a room on a holiday evening. Just handed me the key card. Without sympathy, but also without judgment. I was grateful for that. The room smelled of air freshener and laundry detergent. I sat on the edge of the bed without removing my shoes. Everything inside was humming. Not from anger, from betrayal. I am the 4, a successful financial auditor. Every day I uncover schemes of fraud, forgery, manipulation. But today, I am accused by my own mom, dad, brother, sister. I could justify, scream, persuade, but they didn't even ask, just believed. Believed not in me. I stood and went to the window. Outside, a quiet suburb of Boston. In the windows of neighboring houses, festive Thanksgiving garlands flickered. Somewhere, a minivan door slammed. Someone was meeting guests, and I was met with threats and ultimatums. The phone vibrated. A message from Emily. Sorry it came to this, but you left us no choice. We simply can't trust you anymore. I dropped the phone onto the bed. No apologies, no attempt to listen. Just a verdict. But since they made me guilty, I'd dig like at work. Only now the case is personal, and I knew where to start. Woke up early, not from the alarm, from habit. When you spend years catching financial manipulations, your brain works on autopilot. If something doesn't add up, it triggers an alarm itself. I poured myself black coffee into a paper cup from the motel machine and sat down with the laptop. I immediately opened the work folder, not just out of curiosity. Our firm was working on a case of financial manipulations with elderly clients. The scheme was simple. 3 large withdrawals from the account, each just below the limit at which the bank is obliged to report to the SEC. I entered Dad's details, noted the necessary dates. Half an hour later, a reply from a colleague came. Confidential, but legal. I had clearance. 3 withdrawals, $10,000, $7,500, and another $7,500. All through the Bank of America branch. Not online, not by phone. In person. This already broke their version. Also attached to the email was surveillance camera footage. The quality was average, but enough to recognize a face. I hit play. Emily was the first. Gray MIT hoodie, Ray-Ban sunglasses, nervously drumming fingers on the counter, takes off her mask to speak to the cashier. The face was painfully recognizable. Sister, with whom we once shared secrets in our childhood room. Sister, who is now a thief. I didn't take my eyes off the screen. Next video, a few days later. Same bank. On screen, Michael without a mask. Smile. Calmness. He even jokes with the cashier. Signs. Third video, Emily again. Different clothes, same audacity. But the main question remained, how did they gain access? Dad never gave anyone his card, not even me. The answer came like an epiphany. 2 weeks before all this, Dad was at Massachusetts General Hospital for an examination. Overnight, it was, of course, Emily who stayed with him. Bag, documents, bank cards, everything was with her. I immediately checked the technical data for the online banking registration. The first connection wasn't from Dad's iPhone, but from an iPad connected to the home Wi-Fi. The IP address was the same one Emily uses for her Netflix account, and the confirmation code went to a number registered to Michael. They planned it all, used me as camouflage, and decided I was the perfect scapegoat. I closed the laptop. My heart pounded deeply, evenly. There wasn't resentment in my chest, only cold. Professional, pure. If they made me a criminal, I would show them what real investigation looks like. On Monday, exactly at 3 o'clock, I parked my Subaru at my parents' house. Sat a bit in the car, just gathering my thoughts. Everything in the yard was as usual. Michael's pickup, Dad's gardening tools by the garage, even Emily's mug on the windowsill. It seemed like nothing had changed. Only now, I was no longer part of this nothing. In my lap lay a thin folder, black, without a label. Inside was everything. Stills from surveillance cameras, signatures, checks, bank statements, IP address confirmations, cold, meticulous truth. I didn't bother to ring the doorbell, just walked in. In the kitchen, the whole family, Mom by the stove, Michael chopping something, and Emily, as always, sitting on the counter with a Starbucks mug. All turned around, and silence. No hello, no what are you doing here? Just silence, like before a storm. I laid the folder on the table, right where we used to prepare family dinners. You wanted the truth. My voice was quiet, but clear. Now, I'll show it. I opened the folder and laid the first camera shot. Emily at the counter withdrawing $10,000. Next, Michael, $7,500. Then Emily again. Then the account statement. Then a check with a signature. Then a printout showing online banking was registered not from Dad's phone, but from the home iPad, and confirmation went to Michael's number. No one interrupted. No one even moved. You didn't simply believe I could steal from Dad. You didn't even ask. Dad looked at the documents but seemed not to see them. Hands trembled, lips moved, but no words came. Emily broke the silence. You're meddling where you weren't asked. We just wanted a bit of balance. You were always perfect. I looked at her calmly. You didn't balance. You lit a fire and hoped I'd burn. Michael cleared his throat roughly. It wasn't personal. We knew you'd handle it. You have everything. Career. Money. It's always personal when it concerns family, I said. Dad sat down carefully, as if his body wasn't obeying, then lifted his eyes and whispered, We really thought it was you. Sorry, but it was already too late. No. Not because I held a grudge, just something inside had already broken forever. I've filed a police report, I said quietly. Not because I want revenge, but because you won't stop. After me, there will be someone else. Emily jumped off the counter. Her mug fell, coffee spreading in a dark puddle. You can't! We're family. Were. One word, short, like a gunshot. Michael stepped forward. Let's discuss. We'll return the money. Too late. I shook my head. Detective Ramirez will arrive in... I looked at the clock. About 10 minutes. Mom sobbed by the stove. Dad sat with his head down. Emily rushed between the table and the door like a trapped animal. Michael just stood frozen, as if unable to believe. Do you know what's the scariest thing? I gathered documents back into the folder. Not that you stole, not that you framed me, but that you didn't even apologize. Not one of you. The sound of police sirens came from outside. Emily darted toward the back exit, but I shook my head. They're waiting there too. It's a federal crime, theft from a pensioner's account. You destroyed the family, Mom whispered. No, I headed toward the exit. You did it yourselves when you decided I could be a thief, when you didn't ask, when you didn't believe. On the porch, I paused. Inside, the house was beginning to bustle. Official voices, clicks of handcuffs, reading of rights. And I stood and looked at our old mailbox with the crooked inscription, Anderson family. Now, it was just a sign. Without meaning. Without truth. I got into the car and drove away. Didn't look back, knowing I'd see police car lights, neighbors at fences, a small family drama turned into a neighborhood spectacle. A week later, a letter came from Emily's lawyer. She offered a deal. If I withdrew the complaint, they'd return the money and never again. I didn't finish reading, just deleted it. Michael called a month later, drunk, saying I was always selfish, that I could have settled everything within the family. I blocked his number. Mom sent cards on Christmas and birthday. I didn't respond. Dad came to the office once. Gray, aged. Security didn't let him in. I'd arranged it in advance. A 1.5 years passed. Emily and Michael received parole and community service. The bank returned money to Dad's account. Everything seemed to return to its circle. But something changed within me. I became better at work. Now I saw not just numbers and schemes, I saw the people behind them. Their fear, greed, despair. I learned to notice details I'd missed before. On my next birthday, I received a card. Inside it said, "You were right. Forgive us, Dad." I looked at those words for a long time, then placed the card in the desk drawer. Didn't throw it away, but didn't reply either. Sometimes the truth doesn't set you free. Sometimes it just shows a road you can no longer walk. Did you like the story? Write your opinion in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next interesting story. See you tomorrow.